Welcome to Globe 10.0. I'm Steve Silva. Today I'm joined by Chad Finn. We're getting ready to start the second half of the Red Hot Red Sox, and we've seen it all in the first half. A bad start, a hot middle, pretty good of late against bad teams. In the second half, we've seen a lot of injuries too, almost like 2010. Rearing their ugly head. We got some guys, we don't know if they're going to be able to hold up for the rest of the year, but who's going to be the key player in this second half that's going to determine whether the Red Sox advance in the postseason or not?
Well, you talk about the injuries. They've been pretty fortunate in that it doesn't seem like anything is significant. John Lester will probably be back at a reasonable time. Buck Holt's got good news in North Carolina. We saw a back specialist. Carl Crawford will be back July 18th. So they're getting healthier, and they've dodged some bullets there. The difference, too, this year with the injuries is that they have the organizational depth, and that probably leads us into some of the guys who have been key so far. Andrew Miller, a guy you mentioned. Aceves has been fantastic in whatever role they've thrown him out there. And this is something they didn't have last year, where you could dip down to Pawtucket. Even a guy like Rich Hill, before he got hurt, they could go down and get a guy and fill in. They've held their ground with that, and now we're turning it over to, hopefully, the regulars, the guys who have been hurt.
Yeah, I'm not as convinced as you that this rotation is in great shape based on some of the latest reports. I don't really trust the Red Sox on the reports news. You know, they were telling us, oh, you're crazy to say Matsuzaka's having Tommy John. That's really, unprofessional to me. And next thing you know, he's having Tommy John. You know, Beckett was out, missed, 19 days, not on the DL with a stomach bug, but I've seen too much of Josh Beckett not to know that he's going to hold up, or it might come up with some back issues in the second half.
Sure.
You've already got Lester and Beckett with trouble. Yeah, they're telling us it's okay, but I don't really know that. You know, Wakefield's 55 years old. I mean, he could go at any time. I'm looking at Andrew Miller as being now suddenly a guy who was a nice little surprise to being a key part of this rotation, maybe the third guy deep, and I think he's just got to take advantage of his frame and get better and better, start getting up into the high 90s with the fastball, going beyond the 5th inning, picking up more strikeouts. I think he's the guy to watch. If he can settle into that rotation, he becomes a key linchpin, and I think he's important to the Sox going forward.
Yeah, you mentioned your skepticism about their injuries. I think that's where the Buck Holtz thing comes in, where he went down to North Carolina. He's got a good report. He says he's feeling a little bit better. That's what we want to hear more than the Red Sox saying, oh, he's going to be fine, he'll be back in 2 weeks. But the key to me is someone else you mentioned, Josh Beckett. I didn't see this bounce back year on the wrong side of 30 coming with him. I don't think he would be pitching in the All-Star game if anything significant were going on with him in terms of health. So the key with him, as we know, 2008 his oblique went. He's worn down late in the seasons, the last couple of years. It's imperative for the Red Sox that he keeps pitching like the Josh Beckett we're seeing right now.
And probably the most obvious question mark for most fans is John Lackey, and we didn't even mention him, and we don't know what he's got, mental problems, physical problems, so it's another big question mark in that rotation. So I think we agree that the rotation is going to be key as we get into the second half.